So what do we got? What are we moving on to next? How we finish it? We're gonna finish strong. What do we got?
So I guess the last thing, I mean, I guess strong depends on who cares about this, but we talked last week about the Wizard of Oz and the Dark Side of the Moon, and how I have never heard any Pink Floyd, and I never watched the Wizard of Oz either.
Right.
Well, this week I watched it.
No kidding. That's huge.
And my God, I gotta say, the Dark Side of the Moon, that album, it like, I was almost getting distracted looking for the comparisons between Wizard of Oz and this album, because Dark Side of the Moon is like man, I can't even think of how to describe it, because like I listen to like a lot of pop music and shit like that, and this is nowhere near anything like contemporary like pop music. It took me on like a spiritual journey almost.
Right, absolutely. I can totally see that. Absolutely.
It's like this crazy soundscape that I can't even fathom producing, honestly, because like I mean, you know, I like to make music.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a couple of years. I'm definitely no genius or anything, but I'm just listening to all this music. And I'm like, my God, the way that they produce this and all the sounds that they use and the feelings that this tries to get you to feel and does make you feel, it's just like, it's incredible. Honestly, I don't even know how else to describe it. I think if you never, I'm saying this right now for all the 2 people that listen to us, if you've never heard Dark Side of the Moon, just go listen to it right now. I think the album's like, it's less than an hour long, I think.
Yeah,
right?
it's like, I think it's like 47 minutes, like something in their 40s. It's like, it's short, you know?
Yeah, it is short, but like I said, it takes you like on this journey, and I love how everything just kind of melds into the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was mostly Roger Waters and Pink Floyd, kind of, you know, the production, the music, that kind of thing. And because at one point Roger Waters left the band, and then they made like this kind of like, I guess, you know, 80s, like the 80s vibe, like 80s indie, you know, like 80s, like, you know, I don't know, you know, like, you know, kind of like a very typecast, predetermined sound. And at one point, the one of Pink Floyd songs post Roger Waters was the entrance song for the Portland Trailblazers, or no, the Seattle Supersonics back in the NBA. They used that song as their entrance, so you know it was more accessible to the mainstream than, you know, Clocks and Dark Side of the Moon and everything else.
I was gonna say, because I can't imagine a single song on here that any major franchise or sports team would ever use ever.
Right, exactly, yeah, exactly. No, that's exactly the whole thing. But like you said, you made a good point. It's amazing how it melds together, kind of comes together as one, where it's kind of like, you know, there's individual tracks, but in reality, it's just one kind of seamless expression, if you will, you know?
It really is, and that made it really difficult for me to like figure out what songs they are, because again, I've never listened to Pink Floyd in my entire life. I know, for shame, I know it's a terrible thing to say, but I was like, oh my God, the song is so good, and I'd be like trying to look it up. I'm like, well, where the hell am I even in this album right now? Because everything's just like going together. Yeah. But like, I think no, go ahead.
No, I think it's easy to ignore, you know, maybe in the last 10 or 15 years. Remember when like graphic tees were big? Like you walk into Sears, there's like 15 different graphic tees.
Yes. And
it'd be like AC/DC, Superman, you know, and then like the cover of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. So I think they kind of got, you know, gelled into this, you know, basically classic rock, like, oh yeah, like Zeppelin. I'm not saying Led Zeppelin's bad. I'm not that impressed by Led Zeppelin. Right. But that kind of like were like characterized or typecast, to keep using that word, just as like a, you know, kind of a write-off, not a write-off, but like just classic stuff that teenagers were into for about 20 minutes, you know?
Yeah, and that's what I always associated Pink Floyd with, because again, I've never listened to them, and someone probably wants to punch me in the face for saying this, but I legitimately thought they were just like Guns N' Roses. Like that's what I thought they were going to be. So when I listened to it, it was a hell of an awakening for me, and it was pretty incredible. Like, oh my God, that the one with I have my notes here. But like the one with the saxophones coming in, it was oh my God, that was amazing. And then the one where it's that African American woman, that black woman singing the gospel music, or like the choir music. That was oh my God, it just elicits all these feelings from you. And I'm like, man, I don't get this from anything that I hear on the radio today.
No, it's you're right. It's insane. I remember I would go to the bar and I would have a couple drinks and I like come home and for whatever reason I want to put on Pink Floyd and I don't know why. Because usually, Pink Floyd I wouldn't say is bar music. It's not party music. It's not something you want to.
No.
It's not lightening the mood. And I would put on Pink Floyd. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm moving to Los Angeles. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna move to London for a semester. Like just they get this idea that I'm just gonna do it just because it puts a feeling in you of something.
It does, and I think it probably makes a lot of people feel a lot of different things. But yeah, you were always into that kind of stuff. You're always into that very artistic expression. But
Wow.
you're into all kinds of music though. Like you listen
absolutely.
to everything.
I do. I really do. I can appreciate it all.
Yeah, you really can.
Yeah.
I definitely respect that about you, Dixon. I gotta say.
So I have another album recommendation for you.
Oh boy, here we go. We could make this a section of the show.
Now this should be recurring. We'll come up with a different theme, different idea as we move forward. But right now, I think we should have Ice listen to albums and give a take.
I love this. This is great.
So my next, so I'm going to be honest with you. I think Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon is a pretty hard album to digest. I think it's a pretty hard album to if you're just trying to listen to albums and feel a feeling from music and try to get into music like that. I think Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon is a tough place to start just because I think it's heavy. I don't think it's too accessible. Now I think that listening to it with The Wizard of Oz makes it a little more accessible because you have that visual component that just makes sense.
Yeah.
I think an easier album, but it also might be harder in the sense that you don't have that visual component, is the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds.
Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a couple hits on that album that you're going to recognize, and you'll recognize the hits from like the radio or being at a wedding or something like that.
Okay.
But in reality, the album really just totally works together and tells a whole story. And you were kind of saying about how Pink Floyd, they sound like they're probably just like Guns N' Roses without actually listening to their music.
Yeah, that's
so you
what
might think,
I thought.
The Beach Boys. Yeah, right. So the Beach Boys are all about cars and surfing and girls.
That's exactly what I think. Okay.
Right. To listen to that album, and so it's the way I would describe it, because Beach Boys. Well, the Beatles were my first love, when I was growing up, and then I kind of got into everything else. But you listen to Pet Sounds. I always describe the Pet Sounds as like the Beach Boys. They were in high school. And they were surfing and they were making out with chicks at the drive-in, and they raced on the boulevard. But now they kind of went to college. They're kind of figuring things out, and they're looking back and they're like making plans and they're maturing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really kind of where they were in their career. Like they're kind of trying to step away from the surfing aspect and moved into that new, mature, heavy, music that really makes you feel something that works together. But it was interesting because Brian Wilson wrote the album with his band, but he wrote with this guy Tony Asher, who just wrote copy for advertising. And after that album, Tony Asher never wrote any other songs ever again. So it was like it's such a weird combo. And I think it's the greatest album of all time. I mean, but
really,
yeah, I think it's the greatest album of all time. I think it's just the way it works together, the way it evolves. And then that actually, the Beatles listened to Pet Sounds, and they made Sgt. Pepper in response to Pet Sounds.
Really?
So that's your two assignments. So yeah,
okay.
Listen to Pet Sounds and listen to Sgt. Pepper.
Okay. Okay, yeah. I'll listen to Pet Sounds first, and then I'm going to listen to Sgt. Pepper and interpret how this was formed from Pet Sounds.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
This is going to be pretty interesting, and I really like this because I like music. Like this is
absolutely.
Yeah, and I love it. And like I said, I really did enjoy Dark Side of the Moon. But yeah it could be because of that visual aspect. I guess I won't know until I go into Pet Sounds or listen to Dark Side of the Moon by itself, which I kind of want to buy an album for it. But like, what are they? I bet every hipster in the world probably has one. Or are they like mass produced?
Oh, like the vinyl?
Yeah.
You could buy new vinyl. You could buy new vinyl of different albums.
Okay, well that's good because maybe this might inspire me to buy a vinyl finally and finally hop on that fad.
Yeah, that's definitely an experience. I'd recommend if you're listening to like Dark Side of the Moon or Pet Sounds or Sgt. Pepper, your first listen I would listen to it with headphones. Okay. And you can kind of pick up on different things and and just kind of feel it and go from there. Not to be total like a fanboy, P word like Drake, but like I think there's something there that you would appreciate.
But anyway, what I was going to say about The Wizard of Oz and the Dark Side of the Moon, it does match up. I guess I won't go into this because everyone knows this, and I could go through the different points. But I just wanted to point out the one thing that you made fun of me for, which I thought was which was the best. Miss Gulch.
Miss Gulch.
Do people not call her that?
I didn't even know. The Miss Gulch is the witch.
She's a real life counterpart to the witch, right?
Miss Gulch. How did you even know that? Did they even say that? Did they say her name in the movie? I didn't even know that.
I don't know. I had to look it up. I had to go to the Wizard of Oz Wikipedia fan website.
Miss. Oh wow, great scene when Miss Gulch enters. What?
You're like, yeah, Miss Gulch. Like, doesn't everyone know? In my head, I'm like, oh yeah, like Miss Gulch, she's like a major character or something.
Everybody knows Miss Gulch.
They probably never say her name in the entire movie. I would imagine they probably say it like one single time.
You know, maybe I just glossed over that. I think I've seen The Wizard of Oz a fair amount of times. And I don't recall ever hearing Miss Gulch.
Oh my god, that's so funny. But she anyway, the point where she rides in,
yes,
it gave me goosebumps because right when that hits, the clocks and the bells start going, and it's like boom.
Yes.
And it was like it created like this super eerie, like foreboding tone, and I was like, and that it matched up perfectly, Dixon. It was perfect. Right. It was spot on.
Right. Yes. No. 100%. That is. I think that is such a works so well there. You know.
It did 100%. And then when I looked into her Wikipedia page, and then I found out that she was like the real life counterpart to the witch. I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy.
Yes. The evil witch though, right? Correct. Yeah. The wicked witch. Wicked witch of what region? What is it?
East. Or no, I'm sorry, west. Southeast.
Wicked witch of the central time zone. You know, I love that one scene where it's you know, the song "Us and Them." "Us and Them" is just it's just so good.
Yeah. Yes.
So good. I think it's the line. I think the line's involved at that point. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's just such a it's kind of that saxophone thing going on. It's just so good.
I absolutely, you know? I love that song and just how it matched up with some of the scenes, and and a lot of the tones that were going on in the scenes, like the tone of the song was matching. Right. It was actually pretty eye opening because when I watched it, I'm like, okay, this isn't going to match up. Maybe it'll be a stretch, but there were so many points where I was like, oh my god. Like I couldn't deny it anymore. I was like, holy shit, like this is actually matching up to what I'm seeing on screen right here.
It's insane, right? It's insane.
It was a joy to watch, honestly.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you really enjoyed it. So you have your homework for the next week.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Dixon. Thank you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're welcome. At any time.
I think maybe I'll get. No, I'm not going to give you any homework or anything because then you'd have to start watching YouTube. Like I do, which no one that would be ultimate torture for someone to watch YouTube for the amount I do. So I won't subject you to that.
Well, you know, I'm always willing to expand my horizons on that. You know, YouTube.com. I don't have an account though, so I won't be able to like or subscribe or anything.
Maybe one of these days we'll comment on some bullshit like some lefty YouTuber says, or just some drama that's going down because it's always happening on YouTube, but it's fun to talk about just because I'm so angry. Yeah, our colleagues, exactly.
Yes, right, absolutely.
Yeah, so
wonderful.
Yeah, I'll bring that to the next show, Dixon. Don't you worry.
I am looking forward to it already, and that will be episode 3 already.
That'll be episode 3. Oh my god, episode 3. This is huge. I can't believe we actually made it here. Episode
3, and how many episodes? Just endless. It's possible, just unlimited episodes in the future.
It's definitely endless. I mean, I don't know if you saw I put 3 digits. I put 001.
Oh, okay.
So that says we'll get at least up to 100. And you know what's actually really cool? We could do holiday specials because the holidays are coming up.
Oh, holiday specials. And do those count towards the allotted number of digits, or are they going to be like you do a holiday special, it doesn't really count?
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
It's like it'll be like Christmas special 2021, Christmas special
Yeah,
2020.
like something like that. Like I feel like like The Simpsons, like the Treehouse of Horror. I've never seen one episode of The Simpsons, by the way, but I know that Treehouse of Horror exists, and I feel like there's like 37 of them.
I haven't either.
It seems like it's like an offshoot of the regular episodes. Like it's not a real episode; it's a special episode. You know?
Yeah, they're non-canon. Yeah. They're not canon. Yeah,
they're non. What is that?
Non-canon.
Oh, like the canon of episodes, like canon, a collection.
No. So canon canon is like the continuity of the story. Like,
oh, I follow. Okay.
Yeah. So something so like everything in The Simpsons is canon except spin-offs would be non-canon.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. But
all right, I'm with you.
Yeah, but what were we talking about? I forget.
We're gonna third episode coming up.
Third episode,
Christmas special.
Christmas specials. At some point, we're gonna do live shows too. Once we get at least one single GD sub, we'll start.
I cannot wait.
Oh my god, could you imagine interacting with the chat? Hey you stupid fat idiots, get on to something.
You talked about Wizard of Oz every episode. Yeah. The last 3 episodes. Get off of it already.
Well, give it a rest.
We get it. You saw it. Big deal.
Oh my god, it'd be so funny.
Well, another successful episode of the books. Hopefully we get some good comments.
I really hope that we get some comments. I hope we get some returning commenters, and it's all in good fun. Yes. And
absolutely,
we appreciate everything that you say.
We appreciate it. We feel grateful. We're truly blessed.
We absolutely are, and we hope you return next time because these shows are weekly. Who knows when we'll record next week? Maybe we'll set up a day at some point, but our schedules vary, so maybe we won't do that yet until we're really dialed in. But
very fluid.
Yes. So shows next week. Clips coming throughout the week between shows. It's going to be big.
Huge.
All right, Dixon. I will see you in the next show, and we'll see you next time on the Ice and Dixon Show, Episode 3.
Episode 3. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Ice.
See you, Dixon.
See ya. Thank you. Bye.